Buddy, this is your digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video, and we're finally getting into Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi. That's right, my reviews of the original Star Wars trilogy conclude with Return of the Jedi. So, Luke Skywalker returns to his home planet of Tatooine in an attempt to rescue his best friend, Han Solo. Little does Luke Skywalker know is that the Empire has begun building a new, deadlier, and much more powerful Death Star. So, Darth Vader, yet again played by James Earl Jones, arrives on the new Death Star and tells the commanding officer that the Emperor himself will be arriving. Of course, yes, this is the film where we finally get to see the Emperor make his big screen appearance. Well, yeah, he appeared in the last movie, but in this movie he has more screen time. On Tatooine, C-3PO and R2-D2 arrive at Jabba the Hutt's palace. They manage to get in and the two of them deliver a message to Jabba, where Luke, played by Mark Hamill, who told the droids to give them the message, basically tells Jabba that he wants an audience with him to bargain for Captain Solo's life, but Jabba refuses because he refuses to give up his favorite decoration. So the two droids get fitted to work for Jabba, as 3PO is made Jabba's new protocol droid, and R2 is made to go on to work on Jabba's sand barge. Leia shows up with Chewbacca all cuffed up. And yes, Leia disguised herself as a bounty hunter. Of course, Leia tries to bargain with the price for Chewbacca, as this was all part of the plan. And yes, Leia, even while disguised as a bounty hunter, had a thermal detonator. And Jabba was impressed by Leia, saying, "Now this is my kind of bounty hunter." Of course, Chewie is then taken to the dungeon. Then, moments later, Luke arrives. And using a Jedi mind trick, he uses the Jedi mind trick on Jabba's advisor to bring him to Jabba. Luke finally meets with Jabba after Leia set Han free moments later. And yes, Leia is forced to wear this slave bikini after Jabba killed one of his slaves and sent her down into the Rancor's lair, into the lair of the Rancor. When Luke tries to bargain with Jabba, it doesn't work out, and he gets sent into the Rancor's pit. The Rancor attacks Luke while Luke is inside the Rancor's pit, but Luke manages to lure the Rancor into a trap and disposes of the Rancor very easily by throwing a skull right at a switch that activates a door that squashes the Rancor flat, that completely just destroys the Rancor. The Rancor's keeper and the rest of Jabba's staff mourn the loss of the Rancor, and then sentences Luke and his friends to die by taking them to the pit of Cocoon in the middle of the Dune Sea, the nesting grounds of the mighty and ferocious Sarlacc. And yes, I forgot to mention, Lando Calrissian is dressed up like a palace guard. Yes, he's disguised as one of Jabba's guards. Leia's on Jabba's barge, while Luke, Han, yet again played by Harrison Ford, and Chewbacca are on a smaller barge with some of Jabba's guards, and are about to be put into the pit of Cocoon, or are about to be thrown into the Sarlacc pit. But before anyone could go into the pit of Cocoon, Luke issues an ultimatum to Jabba. After Luke told him earlier not to underestimate my power, Luke says this to Jabba. Jabba, free us or die. But Jabba laughs it off, and then R2 launches Luke's lightsaber out of his head. Luke catches the lightsaber, and we see Luke and his friends begin putting up a fight against Jabba's men. Boba Fett, who was on Jabba's sand barge, he basically goes to stop Luke and his friends, only for him to get dispatched really quickly. Yeah, Boba Fett really gets defeated very easily in this movie. After being knocked into the Sarlacc pit by Han, yeah. But like I said, Boba Fett really gets dispatched really easily in this movie. Boba Fett falls into the Sarlacc pit, and on Jabba's barge, we see the Hutt himself get choked out by Leia in that slave bikini. Leia is just choking the fuck out of Jabba. And then Luke makes it to the sand barge, to Jabba's barge. And, of course, he and Leia escape off of the barge after Leia nails the gun on the barge and fires on the deck, sending the large sand barge down into the Dune Sea. But Luke and Leia get off the sand barge, and then they pick up the droids who basically fall out of the sand barge. After rescuing Han, Luke heads to the Dagobah system to meet up with Yoda. On Dagobah, Luke meets up with Yoda, but the old man is dying. That's right. Yoda is old, sick, and dying. But before he dies, he reveals a lot to Luke, basically telling Luke that there is another Skywalker. After seeing Yoda die, and realizing that he still has to defeat Vader, Luke realizes that Leia is his sister. Yes, he actually realizes that Leia, of all people, is the sister that Yoda spoke about. After talking it over with Obi-Wan told him that it is true what I told you from a certain point of view. And yes, they did make fun of this moment in Robot Chicken. Yes, if you watch the moment from a certain point of view, it's really funny. So, the Emperor arrives on the new Death Star and tells Vader that you're still continuing your quest for young Skywalker. And basically basically bring him before me. That yada yada yada. That's exactly what Palpatine says to Vader. Meanwhile, our heroes finally meet up with the Rebel fleet. Who tells them about the info about the new Death Star. After getting this info from Bothan spies, as it is pointed out by Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma tells our heroes that many Bothans died to give us this info, and that the Emperor himself will be overseeing the construction of the new Death Star. Admiral Akbar further implies that the weapons aren't fully operational, and that there is a shield generator on the forest moon of Endor, neighboring the Death Star, that's rotating around the Death Star. And that a ground team must go in and dismantle the shield while we launch an attack from space. So, yeah, you have two teams, one up in space and one on the forest moon of Endor. Lando is made a general, and actually is going to be leading the space forces against the Death Star. He will be leading the attack on the second Death Star, while Han and his team will go down to the surface of Endor and destroy the shield generator. Of course, our heroes managed to sneak onto Endor after getting an Imperial shuttle, after commandeering a stolen Imperial shuttle. And yes, Vader just happened to be on the ship that just cleared our heroes. On Endor, our heroes encounter Imperial forces, and we see a huge speeder bike chase through the forest of Endor. As Luke and Leia began chasing down stormtroopers while driving speeder bikes. The sibling duo manages to take out the stormtroopers on the speeder bikes. But the two of them get separated after Leia was chasing down one of the speeder bikes. But Leia got knocked off of her speeder bike while the one who shot at her crashed. Leia is then found unconscious by one of the natives of Endor, and it happens to be a creature called an Ewok. Yeah, basically a little teddy bear. Finds Leia and pokes her with his spear, and Leia awakens, and the two quickly become friends after Leia and the little Ewok fight off stormtroopers that attempt to kill Leia or capture her. Vader tells the Emperor that my son is down there on the moon of Endor. And the Emperor tells him, "Bring him before me." My apprentice. The time has come to try to convert him to the dark side. Luke reunites with Han and the rest of the group. But they go looking for Leia after realizing Leia hasn't come back yet. But then they get captured by the Ewoks, who set a trap for them thanks to Chewbacca springing the trap. Our heroes manage to get out of the net, but then are captured immediately by a group of surrounding Ewoks. The Ewoks take our heroes to the village, and they think 3PO is their god. And yes, they do meet up with Leia, and thanks to Luke using the Force to convince the Ewoks to help them, after, well, technically using the Force to levitate 3PO to convince the Ewoks to help them because they think 3PO is their god, our heroes agree, well, the Ewoks agree to help our heroes during the final battle on Endor. That night, 3PO is also telling them the tales of their past adventures. Meanwhile, while Luke slips out of the treehouse, and basically Leia follows him, and Luke reveals to Leia, "You are my sister, and that you have the same power, and in time you will learn it." So, yeah, Leia learns this huge bombshell that Luke is her long lost brother that she herself hadn't known about. And yes, Han thinks that they were hooking up, but Leia's like, "It's not like that." Yeah, we do, Han does learn the truth, at the end of this movie, so no harm, no foul. Luke meets up with Vader in the middle of the bunker, at the Imperial's bunker in the middle of the forest, where he surrenders just to meet with Vader. And then Vader takes Luke to the Emperor, to his master. The fleet comes out of hyperspace and realizes that the Empire knew they were coming, and began to realize it's a trap. Meanwhile, being brought before the Emperor, Luke meets Emperor Palpatine. Finally, the confrontation we've been all waiting for. Anyway, Palpatine tells Luke that everything has happened because of my design. It is I who basically allowed the rebels to know about the new Death Star, and it is I that had allowed it is I who allowed the rebels to be lured here into a trap to mark the end of your little rebellion. Luke tells him, "Your overconfidence is your weakness." The Emperor's response is, "Your faith in your friends is yours," and tells him that, "I'm afraid the shield generator will be quite operational when your friends arrive." Yes. Meanwhile, on Endor, our heroes Han and the rest of his group make it to the bunker where the shield generator is. They manage to get into the bunker, but they are quickly ambushed by more Imperial troops as reinforcements arrive on the forest. Just when you think things look grim for our heroes, a massive battle ensues on the ground. Meanwhile, after the rebel fleet came out of hyperspace and is having to deal with Star Destroyers as well as fighters, you're seeing the massive fleet of the rebels having to deal with all this firepower. And of course, we even see that the new Death Star has finally been weaponized after the Emperor gives the command to fire the Death Stars, to fire a major cannon from the Death Star. Yeah, it's a giant planet-destroying laser, and it does wipe out the rebels' medical freighter. which is this very huge ship. So the battle continued up in space, and yet again, Palpatine is continuing to quote unquote verbally troll Luke. But Luke ain't having any of this. Luke ignites his lightsaber and attempts to strike the Emperor, but Vader blocks, and we soon see the two of them fight, as it's a rematch from The Empire Strikes Back. But Luke's telling his father, I will not fight you, and Vader continues to try to attack Luke. We see Luke backflip onto this catwalk. Then Vader throws his lightsaber after the two of them have their banter. You see on the ground, our heroes are fighting for their lives. We see Chewie and a couple of the Ewoks take over an Imperial walker. Leia gets shot in the shoulder. R2 even gets shot. And thanks to Chewbacca, our heroes were able to get inside the bunker and take down the shield generator by setting charges. They set the charges and blew up the shield generator. Meanwhile, Vader yet again tries to tell Luke that if you can't be turned, then perhaps she will, meaning Leia, your twin sister. And then Luke came out of his hiding spot, and he goes right after Vader. He charges at Vader. He's like slashing on Vader. He's dominating Vader in this fight, and he cuts off Vader's hand. Vader's hand gets chopped off, and you see Luke's expression as he is shocked that he might be going down the same dark path that his father had gone past, the same dark path that his father went down. Then Palpatine says, "You have done well, my young apprentice," as he's trying to make Luke his new apprentice, but Luke says, "No. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. You have failed, your highness." Then Palpatine says, "If you will not be turned, you will be destroyed." Then Palpatine unleashes lightning on Luke. He basically starts striking Luke with his lightning hands and unleashing Force lightning on Luke. Vader watches. And finally, after Luke begs Vader for help, Vader finally comes to. You see Vader come to his senses, and you see Vader return to the light by him grabbing his master and throwing him down the hole. But of course, Vader's suit got fried while the Emperor had been shooting lightning, as he was still shooting lightning after Vader tossed him down the pit. Lando and the rest of the fleet managed to make it into the new Death Star after the shield was taken out on the ground. Lando makes his way to the power source, and the rebels managed to blow up the new Death Star. The new Death Star has been destroyed, along with the Emperor himself. All across the galaxy, celebration began, as Palpatine's influence and his shadow had fallen, and that the empire that he had reigned over had also fallen. So Luke managed to take Vader's body off of the Death Star after unmasking him. And of course, there was a funeral. Luke threw threw a funeral for Anakin, aka Vader, and cremated Vader after giving him a funeral fit for a Jedi. So, Vader was cremated on Endor. Our heroes celebrate their massive victory over the Empire, and we see the ghosts of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda all standing there together, and you see Luke wave to them. And, well, that is the end of Return of the Jedi. Final thoughts? It's an alright film. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see my Star Wars faithful next time for The Force Awakens. And, for my wrestling faithful, stick around for WCW's Fall Brawl 1999. See ya!